Hi everybody, welcome to Amy Nolte Music. I've got a couple videos of licks to play over 2-5-1s. Major 2-5-1s, minor 2-5-1s, and sometimes people write to me and say, Amy, I'm doing pretty good with my 2-5-1s, but I don't really know what to play just over the one. Or what if you've got a chord that lasts for a couple of bars, like a major chord or a minor chord? So this is my video to address that. It's called Ideas for Over the One Chord. Now what we're gonna do is take the tune Green Dolphin Street because it has a lot of one chords. It starts off with 2 bars of E flat major, followed by 2 bars of E flat minor. Then there's a bar of F over E flat, and then a bar of E over E flat, and then another bar of E flat major 7 followed by C7. What I've done is I have made you a loop. I played some organ on this loop and I played some brushes on this loop. Sounds a little bit like this. I wanted you to just have a blank canvas to be able to improvise over without having to go through the whole form of this song, because these 8 bars give you a lot of really good opportunities just to practice on the one chord. Quite a few one chords. We've got the E flat major, the E flat minor, and then we've got the 2 slash chords. So it's like 4 different one chords. What I started out doing was writing my own licks for you to play over these chords. I did 2 of them, so there's like a good 16 bars of Amy ideas, but then I thought we could have so many better ideas than just my ideas, so I transcribed a little bit. There's a PDF to go along with this video, as well as the MP3 of the loop. So you can go to my website, click on the card above my head, and get this MP3 that you can practice along with, as well as the PDF of 2 8-bar ideas. It's like 8-bar chunks. Let's call them chunks. We got 2 8-bar chunks from yours truly, an 8-bar chunk from Sonny Rollins. You know I like that word, chunk, 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 right? An 8-bar chunk from Keith Jarrett, 8-bar chunk from Miles Davis, 8-bar chunk from Wynton Kelly, and an 8-bar chunk from John Coltrane. Whole bunch of really good, chunky, meaty players. I don't really like either of those words in context. Let's go through them. I want you to hear the ideas. I want you to understand how to finger a couple of really tricky ones and hear how I go about practicing them over this loop. That's exactly how I have been practicing this. There's a few tricky ones that I actually really needed to woodshed a few times in a row so that I could get them. And the ones that have tricky fingering, I've written that in for you. So the first one is just one that I made up, and it's all eighth notes, so it makes it pretty easy. So here's your E flat chord, right? And I know that these are not all one chords, right? Like this is the one chord, but this one is not, right? E flat minor, like that's taking us somewhere, probably to D flat. That's where it usually would take us. But we do this next chord, which is the F over E flat, and then the E over E flat, and then we're back to E flat. So I know that this isn't really the only one chord, but you can treat any of these licks that I give you like they are just one chords. So the first one that I give you is like this. It goes like that. And then the second one just modifies it so that it follows the exact same kind of numeric pattern, but over E flat minor. Same thing. So it's like the same thing as in the Ionian as it is in the Dorian. E flat Dorian is the mode that we use there. But say you were gonna play My Shining Hour. This will be my shining hour. Da 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 da. And then you get to the bridge, right? And it's like an F minor to B flat to E flat. And when you get to this E flat in the bridge of My Shining Hour, if you modulate it, I'm just showing you everything in the key of E flat. Then, like maybe you're improvising over that. Da da ba da 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 da. Right, and then you've got 2 bars of this E flat. So, and then here we take this one that I just taught you. That'll work right there. I mean, it'll also work on All of Me. What if you're playing All of Me in the key of E flat, right? Right here it is, right over at the beginning. You're coming around the end. Why not take all of me? And here it comes. And then, if you're playing All of Me, your next chord would be a G7, right? And then all you would have to do is just take the same thing. So it was 9 7 1 9 or 2 7 1 2, however you want to look at it. But you do the same exact thing over a G7, right? Whatever. You can use it anytime. You can use any of these licks anytime you've got a chord to stay on for either 1 bar or 2 bars. Just take pieces of them. Chop them up. Try to use them in different tunes. Maybe you're playing Little Sunflower, right? You get to the bridge. Right? That was just this lick right here. So these are not only meant to be used over Green Dolphin Street, please remember that. They can be used anywhere, many, many, many places. These are just ideas to play over 1 type chords or 1 minor type chords. Here we go. The first one is mine. And we're swinging. And it's at about 123 is I think my, about right there. And I know that sometimes we play on Green Dolphin Street with a Latin feel. But almost everybody that I transcribed, I think everybody that I transcribed played it in a swinging feel. So that alone made me decide to just make my entire backing track swinging and not change from Latin to swing or anything. All right, so that's the first one. And the second one, well, I guess I'll play it all for you. Here's the second part. But here's the next part. So we've got 3 5 3 2 1, or mi so mi re do ti do mi so. And so little hiccup, and then same exact thing in E major, and then I give you a rest between. There's a couple of bars, like bars 7 and 8 between each one of these. So I don't really tell you how to end them. You can add more onto the endings if you want, but when you listen to the track of me just just plowing through this whole thing, you'll hear how I end these phrases, and maybe you want to do the same thing. Here's the next one that I made up. It goes like this. Mi, so, fi, so, fi, la, so, mi, re, do, ti, do, mi, so. We have a Lydian sound, right? This fi comes in there. And also, right now I'm playing some rootless voicings. You don't have to play a thing with your left hand. I'm just kind of doing it to give you context. You could also just play a root note if you wanted. And then next. Here we go with the F over E. I like this kind of a sound. I think this is like a John Coltrane kind of thing to do. And then I just changed up the contour a tiny bit when we go over the E chord. So instead of going, we change it to Ti, do, re, do. And then you can end it however you want. Anything. And then here is the first transcribed lick. It's Sonny Rollins. 4, 1. I really like it because it's melodic. That's kind of my shtick, right? My deal. Melody wins. So I dig this one from Sonny Rollins a lot. It's almost like you could write a new song with this as the melody. He changes it just slightly, which is even cooler than what I did in my examples because he actually changes the rhythm. And then this is such a nice big skip where we go down to the 3rd of F and then way up to the 13 and hit the 3rd. Just like that. And I like to end it just like that and not even finish up with any other notes on these last 2 chords. I think that's really hip sounding. The next one that comes is Keith Jarrett. I have linked to every one of these solos with the link that you can find on YouTube as well as the timestamp so that you can hear how all of these solos sounded originally. I kind of tried to pick some that I think people aren't familiar with. So here's the Keith Jarrett one. There's a couple of beats of rest. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Let me play in time. And I did write out a fingering for this. I think I didn't quite play it right that time, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the right way to do it. And then we wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and he lands hard on this Lydian note for the next chord. Right, it's so hip because most people would land on the 3 to do something like that, but he actually overshoots. So we've got this E flat on the bottom, we've got an F chord, and what Keith Jarrett does is he even takes it, a cooler step. It's already cool enough to just play F major over this, but he raises it a whole step to just almost go outside a little bit, but really what it is a Lydian sound. And then he just does the exact same thing, but a half step lower. So that one's really nice. The next one is from Wynton Kelly, and he's got a pickup coming into his. 1, 2. That's a great line. It's this solid bebop bluesy kind of line, and he even takes the E flat major chord, and instead he decides to play like an E flat 7 over it, and he can do that because he's the only comping instrument in the band. So if he decides to switch from an E flat major 7 to an E flat 7, he's the only one in charge of that stuff. The chances of the bass player, picking one of these notes to land on are not strong. So he just did that. I think he was feeling bluesy. And now we change to E flat minor. That's all just pretty Dorian, right? All of these notes. And now we've got over this chord, but he just chooses to stay bluesy. 2 beats of rest. Now, to land on an F over this E chord is kind of baller, I think. And then what he does, I mean, he takes this kind of, it's almost like playing an F blues scale, I guess. Right? But over an E chord, which is, I mean, it's hip because if you're looking at E, like maybe he's thinking of it as E7 and, right? It's like we've got all those hip notes in there. So it sounds good. I like it. Let's see. So F. And that's pretty, you know, pretty normal. The next solo is Trains, John Coltrane, and he's got a little pickup too. 1, 2, 3, 4. That rhythm is a little bit up for grabs. I'm not exactly sure I transcribed it exactly right, but you can listen to it and decide for yourself. I like the way it came out. 2, 3, 4. And now we've got, and that's a lot like Sonny Rollins, just to start with a really strong melody. And then E flat minor coming up. 1, 2, and he's got a staccato on this. I try to do that in my recording. 1, 2. So just making that one little staccato phrasing choice is really, really hip. I call that Ricky Ticky, like borrowing from back in the days of traditional jazz. You would hear Louis Armstrong do that kind of thing all of the time, just especially make that third note of the 4/8 note phrase be staccato like that. Red Garland also used to play a lot like that. And really, that's the only one that's staccato, but you hear the effect. It's cool. And then we've got over the F chord. That's really nice. Yeah. And then the last one's kind of a crazy one from Miles Davis. He does this, I was listening to him and I decided to pick this crazy one because I like it, and why not just have kind of a crazy example. And I also think that it will help you in your swing phrasing because he exactly illustrates my overarching concept of swing, which is that the quarter note is king. So he ghosts every offbeat and you just barely hear them, and sometimes you don't hear them at all. It sounds like this. 1, 2. Like that. So you can hear how he lays on those and just barely touches the offbeat or the upbeat. 1, 2. And then it goes to the E flat minor chord. And these are cool notes too. I mean, the notes we need to notice are the A flat, G flat, F, G flat, A flat. That's a cool color note to put over the minor kind of chord, right? It's just a little side step. And then he keeps that idea over the F chord. So we've got an F chord, which is an A, right? But he strongly plays an A flat. It sounds pretty hip. And then here he does the exact same thing over E. He plays the like the sharp 9 or the flat 3. And this one goes on longer. It actually finishes the 8 bars. I just thought I'll let him finish because he's Miles Davis and because it's a cool ending. So we want to let him finish his phrase. So I put him at the end, and you can actually play that whole phrase. And then at the very end, there's just one more for free. So I just make up an extra one at the end. And that can be like your time to make up something when you're playing over this track. So like I said, I would just take this PDF, take this play along track, and play all of these solos in a row, just in order, just like I did. And then, for the very last one, you get to improvise. So that's, one for free. Not only one track comes with this video, but if you purchase the PDF, it'll come with 2 MP3s, so that you can listen to the backing track and have that to play along with, but also you can listen to me playing over it, and it'd be a good idea to play along with me too, and to just listen to the way that I, phrase and lay back and swing and play straighter. Like, those are all just stylistic choices, and you don't have to do it like me, but it can give you a guide. So I don't know if you can tell by the lighting or not, but it's nighttime now, and this has been a really long video for me all day. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. I had fun making it and listening to all of these masters play over the first 8 bars of Green Dolphin Street. I think all of their ideas have sunk into my soul today, and I hope that they do the same for you. Don't forget to sing these ideas as well as play them. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, I've got a whole bunch of new stuff in my store. I've got cool new designs, t-shirts and hats and bags and water bottles and mugs and everything. And my little guy Louie helped me to design some new ideas, as well as Matt Clark made one extra logo for me that actually has my signature on it. So, but if you'd like to pick up some Amy Nolte merchandise, it'd be a great time to do it. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting me always. I'll see you next time on Amy Nolte Music.